Today we're playing Despot's game. So Despot's game is a army builder auto battler, and it has several different modes. The main mode is like the campaign, and one cool thing is you can, as you go through the game, you unlock different starting profiles, so you can pick between a mage-centric build or a more balanced build. Today, though, we're going to go a magic build. So it gives us one kind of mid-tier starting character and essentially cannon fodder or people we can use to spec out later. The mode we're also going to pick is called, I actually really like this, it's called Christmas Brawl, and every 3 turns you go against a person, and it basically, the game remembers different builds that people used and it matches you against them, and it gets successively harder as you go through it. And the goal is to get to at least 10 wins. You can go beyond that though. So we're going to start with this. I know for this game I can spend hours and hours on end. Cool thing is it actually remembers your last setup for like a particular build, so it has all my guys in the back, this dude out front. The reason I'm putting this guy out front is he can tank a few more hits than these guys. These I want to save for later, so I can use them as mages, healers, etc. Fight. Now, in this particular mode, each time you go through, it will give you a different set of mutations. If you notice right here, we have kind of our different classes. Here we have the newbies, so it's pretty much says it all right there. And then we have our mages. Mages are really cool, I think, because if you actually go to their attack radius, it's has one of the highest radii in the game. So even higher than the shooter class. So a lot of people go shooters for this particular thing, but I think, could be totally wrong in this, but I think mages might have more late game power because of that increased distance. And they also have a lot of area of effect abilities that you can get. And there's some really cool combos that you can build up with them. These little icons show which class these upgrades pertain to. So this one gives you a summoned drone, which is really nice in the early game, but its effectiveness kind of wanes the farther you get into the game. So every time you get a free reroll, every time you reroll, it's a bit of a gamble. This one is a really nice perk for tanks. One viable build is to go tank mage, so the tanks soak up all the damage while the mages can just throw in all their effects. And it just gives your mages a little more survivability. Sometimes a second or two makes a difference between winning and losing in this game. So this one's actually a very good perk early on for the tank class. We can risk it and try to find something mage specific, but this one's not bad. And it's always a gamble. Sometimes you won't get what you want. So like this one, it's a nice solid upgrade for the healer class, so it gives them, they can heal from a distance. I always like to put one healer in just because when you go against people, none of your guys will die in the long run. They'll come back the next round as long as you have lives left over. However, that's not true for the environmental fights. If one of your guys dies, you can't get him back, unless you have a special ability, which you can unlock later in the game. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the one I wanted. I wanted something for the mages. It would have this symbol. But we're just going to go with this. It's actually not a bad exchange because in the early game, it is really helpful to have that extra summon. It kind of tanks a lot of hits for us. And because we have a tank to take hits, I don't need him to take hits anymore. So I can move him back, and then our little drone will swoop out, take all the hits. And like I said, it's an auto battler, so you can't control anything except unit placement at the beginning and what your guys are kitted out with. This one we want, because we're going for a mage build. Have noticed that there's a lot of different kind of early game builds you can go for. So, here, I'll show you. Well, I won't show you, but sometimes it's really easy to get stuck on a long-term strategy early in the game, because you know what you want your army to look like. But early on, sometimes you have to make sacrifices and pick things that make you more survivable, so that you don't lose that heart in the first round because your build demanded it. Because yeah, maybe you lose that heart, but you're much, much stronger later on. But you've also lost a heart. I mean, sometimes you're just against someone that has the perfect counter for whatever you built. And even though it's really good, maybe it needs more time to kind of build up. And then you lose another heart. So it's better to try to not lose this early in the game because you're focusing so much on a build. And what do I mean by that? You can actually go in here to your mutations, which is like your additional upgrade menu, and it draws from this your kind of coin pool over here. One little thing that you can get is the restocking option, and that basically, restocking the shop re-rolls everything in here. So if you're trying to go a specific build, this is essential. Otherwise, you'll end up spending far more than this 10 in the long run. At the same time, getting this early in the game kind of hurts. That means that that's less people that you could have bought. So it's kind of a risk-reward thing with a lot of these things. You know, sometimes, you have to make an investment so that it pays off later. Right now, though, we're going to upgrade the shop. And, since we're not getting what we want, we're going to make that little bit of an investment. Going to re-roll. Okay, this is not bad. Get one more shield. And this is not the perfect build, but it will get us to survive. Actually, we can just put them way out front. Our guys right here have a lot of range. So they both have ranges of 12, but this dude, if you look, has a really good attack. So it's a very strong attack for early in the game. Now we'll just see if we can survive. Another strategy that some people do is they just cheese a bunch of these. Because yeah, you might have 200 attack, but you're still limited by how fast you can attack. So you might not be able to kill that many dudes that fast. So hopefully this will soak up enough damage for us to have these guys kind of take the win for us. But we'll find out. You never know what you're going to get. Okay, so we're going against this player's build here. It's not real time, but it does remember what, so it'll remember what I did right here, and someone might fight up against this. I'm not sure how it selects, if it selects based on winners or what. We'll find out. And they actually have a very similar thing to us. It's good that we have this to kind of balance it out. Oh, and like I said, we kind of get to see this shine early in the game, as well as that damage dealing capacity. So this played out exactly how we would have wanted. So I think it's a nice win for us. Next thing we're going to get is a cheap healer. Just so, again, these guys will kind of get damage early on. We don't want that in the environment. We want them to either be able to heal themselves or have someone else heal them. Or at least just one healer, just to kind of stave off that damage. This is pretty cool. Cultists are a really fun class. They summon giant tentacles that can attack. I personally love them, but they're kind of squishy. Like, when they're summoning, they're very vulnerable. So this class is a really big gamble. And then you also have to have the right unit composition. One thing that's interesting is it will show you to unlock new abilities in a class and make them stronger, you have to have variety. So right now it shows that we have two different kinds, not two units, but two different kinds of units. So here we have two shield dudes, but there's only one token right here. Because they're the same class, or the same type of shield. Here we have two different guys, so two mage counters, if you will. And what do they unlock? Well, you can see right here. This is the ability they unlock, and this excessive tiers that open up with each additional type of mage. So again, we're focusing on our shield dudes and mages, primarily mages. So this has an ability, but it only works if it's weaker than them. And that's only newbies. So we're going to skip that one. We want things that have a very long-term benefit. This one's very good. This one's always useful. Unless you just don't want healers and have some kind of vampiric ability. You know, it's actually a very strong combo for the tank. If they're not taking damage, that means it takes even the fight longer, which means they can soak up more damage. And I know this kind of setup, I'm explaining a lot. It's probably more fun just to watch, but I just want to kind of give you a basic outline of how all these different features work. Anytime we lose a match, we lose one of these hearts. That wasn't... if I didn't mention that. I should have had these guys a little farther back so he can take the damage. Because this is a summon, so he'll always reappear with full health. So what we'll do is if you select all of them, you can actually just keep the formation. So maybe we'll do this. I always like this ability. Evasion is really nice to have. Anything vampiric I also get if I'm picking that class as my main upgrade. Sometimes it's nice just to pick one or two classes so that all of these little upgrades or mutations that you pick stack. You know, so, and sometimes you get really cool combos and they get crazy powerful. So it's easier if you just focus on a couple units as opposed to spreading yourself in. Spreading yourself in might be a viable strategy in the long game if you have a very balanced composition and you know what you're doing. But the feeling I get is the metagame, could be wrong, tends to favor stacking up for one or two particular unit types. Although there are nice inter-class synergies that you'll find out about later in this game too. Some classes buff other classes specifically. Like the engineer class has a special ability, I want to say it's them, that buffs cultists, for example. The place where this dude appears is semi-random. Okay. Again, we're focusing mostly on a mage build, so anytime we kind of get these nice little things like this, I'm going to get them. Upgrades do cost, but they unlock higher tier units. So here we see the probability for each time that we'll get, either regular, rare, epic, legendary classes. This one's a really cool one. But again, we're focusing on mages and shields. Maybe one healer, if we get one. So this is where that upgrade comes into play. We would have already spent like 4 to 6 just re-rolling these guys. But fortunately, our costs are kind of low right now. So we have 2 different guys. That's going to unlock our ability. Oops. Might have messed up a little bit on that, but that's okay. We'll do one reroll, see if we can get a cheap healer. And we did. And then, it's always a bad idea to leave yourself extra tokens. And why do I say that? Because sometimes these fights in PvP are so close that literally one guy like this could make the difference, at least early on, between winning and losing. And these you can't get back. So you never want to lose. Especially if you want to make it to, the 10th round. It gets quite a bit difficult. Some people haven't had any problems, getting way beyond this. But maybe because the build type I go for, it's a very late game reward. It's possible that, that strategy just can't quite survive the early game. So you have to kind of compromise a bit. I always like having the healer in the back. Unfortunately, healers are kind of semi-suicidal. They will see that, oh crap, these guys are losing health. I need to go up there. But they're just there to soak up damage. They're not, these guys are the important guys. They're dishing out the damage. So what'll happen is the healer will go forward and basically act as a impromptu tank, which is not what I want, and then just die. So maybe I could put these guys like right here, but I feel like that's kind of a short-term solution that doesn't always work. He'll still do his little mad dash to suicide. You know, I don't know, it could make a really dark joke, but we'll keep it light today. And this is where we start to see like the strength of getting a ton of units. See, like I said, sometimes it literally comes down to one unit. Like, if we had one guy churning out just a little more damage, it would have worked. But they had more men, so, you know, it took longer to, you know, chew through them. These guys will shine, though, the farther we get into the game. They did unlock this, but there's more area of effect spells that they can lock, and a lot more combos that work really well with this class. Some people will tell you that some of the things I'm going to pick are pretty useless, but I beg to differ because they... Well, you'll see. You'll see. Hopefully you'll survive that one. Okay, this one actually wouldn't be bad to get, but again, we want... Okay, we want to focus more on our mages. This one works really well for the mages. It allows you to ignore your cooldown and mana cost, and has a chance of triggering. And if you're flinging spells, this is amazing. We're going to be a little greedy, see if there's anything better though. This actually combos nicely with that. Anytime you use an ability, 50 magic, well, active ability, 50 magic damage to a random person. Now combined with what I just showed you, that means you're just getting free damage in on random things. And maybe you're out of mana, but there's a chance for it to trigger. So it's almost like infinite damage on a very slow depth scale. So this one, especially the more mages you get, is really powerful, I think. And that includes the healer. Anytime he's healing, he's pumping out 50 damage per heal because of that ability. And notice he just blew up like that from that ability, because it's triggering. We're just going to do it because now we have this cool combo going on for all our guys. It even works on shield dudes. Let's see what they're actually called. Tanks. Shield dudes is more fun to say though. It even works on them once you have 3 of them, because then they can start to use their class ability, which is a taunt/armor ability. Yeah, you can see how powerful that combo already is. Oh, this kills me. I love cultists so much. They're really one of my favorite classes, but they're very finicky. Like, they're very vulnerable early on in the game, and you kind of just have to get the right ratio. They're a bit tricky to work with, but there's a lot of fun things you can do with them. Okay, fridge for you, sir. One thing is there's this kind of a sweet spot, because if you don't ignore these, this gives you 50% health bonus. Literally doubles your health. This one's only 40, but this total is about 40 investment, so we don't have it yet. And maybe this is smart to go early on, but we're going to kind of hold out to see if we can get better unit composition. Maybe we'll do one upgrade. Again, it's really risky because what I'm doing here, I should probably be focusing on getting more units instead of getting higher tier units, but sometimes those higher tier units can make a huge difference. I really want that, but we could get an extra mage, and that's a lot of damage difference. or even a couple more shield guys. However, if we do get this, our ability to heal does go up. So for example, right here, heals for 15, but the next one heals for 25. And that's 50 damage every time they heal. And it's guaranteed instant damage to a random enemy. So it's kind of hard to ignore. See how the health on these guys. You know, let's do it. We might regret this, and then let's get. Oh, we only have one more. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, this might not work, but you know what? We're still having fun, or at least I am. These runs are very unpredictable. Like, you could have an amazing run. You could just be lucky with who you go against, and it could work. This, I'm not certain if we will. We don't quite have enough people up here to soak up the damage. We don't have enough damage power. I kind of traded damage power for healing, and healing doesn't shine until a little later on when you have more types of healers. You know, when you're healing 60 plus per thing, then yeah, it's probably a lot more worth it. But when you can dish out, you know, one of these guys can dish out 112 or 100 damage, you know, the difference right there is because every time they level up, their stats go up in a specific kind of pre-programmed way. So their attack will go up depending on which class it is. So we might have the higher damage output, but we don't have enough dudes to soak it up. Ooh. And they might have even, you know, you can actually click on their guys to see what they went with. So this is not looking so good for us right now. If we can just survive one more, we might be able to start steamrolling. Like, mages are pretty weak early on, but once they get going, they're very, very, very powerful. It's actually really good, but we need a specific upgrade for the mages. Ooh, that actually would stack. So now, not only can they evade, like 30 chance of evade, but they have a 30 chance to stun people attacking them, which increases their utility quite a bit. And even if we don't win this round, this is just so you get a feel for the game, how it works in this particular mode. The campaign is a bit different. You have food as well, and each unit consumes food. And when they run out, they start taking penalties. So your tokens don't just go to upgrades and buying new units. They also go to managing your food. And it's similar in that you'll have actually. So for example, if we go to this, it shows us the map. The maps are a lot larger in the main campaign, and there's different kind of tiles. So one place might have as a reward like a shop at the end, or a place you can buy food, or different kind of events in game with kind of different opportunities. So the campaign's quite a bit different, but the core is the same. This is a very specific focus, and it's focused mostly on PvP, which is why, to me, it's really fun. You know, you never know what you're going to get. And so that guy just leveled up. Again, we're trying to focus more on a mage-centric build. So I'm holding out for... This one's not bad, but it's only who they're attacking. And since there's not a lot of them, I feel like that's a waste. And they don't attack very fast. And well, crap. Unfortunately, we didn't get what we want, but let's see what this one. 200 from towers, or 100 mana to all allies for the eggs. Or this one. Let's go that one. Doesn't work as well for this build, but what some people do is they'll have these builds where they'll have a ton of little dudes and some damage dealers, and the dudes will run around and they will pull all the aggro from the enemy towards them. And it really messes up. Like, you might have this nice little thing where you have your shields in front, your mages in the back, but it scrambles everything and allows your damage dealers to pick off everyone. There are upgrades that you can get for the mutagens, or this that can negate status effects like that. So it is possible to build a counter to that build, but it's so cheesy, but it works really well if you do it right. And you'll see that kind of maybe in the mid game. Some people have a bunch of newbies and they have this little thing, and it allows their damage dealers to pick off people as they focus on these guys. And since there's so many, it doesn't matter if your attack is 300 or 500 or whatever, if you have to keep shooting these guys because there's so many of them. Then you're limited by your attack speed. So there we go. See, he triggered his little ability and it focused on him. This is really good. It's a lot of damage. We could go one of these just to add to our little collection, or we could go big. Go big or go home. Oh, these actually, I would have picked this, but unfortunately we're one off. So we'll get this guy instead. This guy's kind of interesting. It's a mage class that acts like a tank. Oops. Did we? Oh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So this is one where you make a mistake where you forget that you have one guy and then you buy a new guy. So literally we could have bought this, which is, look at that, 45 armor. That is a ton of damage negation plus a very high health. Let's see how much this guy does. Has 16 armor, but 720 health, so his health is comparable, but this guy's armor makes him ridiculous as a tank. Unfortunately, we kind of goofed there, so it's silly, but a mistake like that can cost us the game. So we're just getting two of these guys to kind of distract them. And we'll go forward. See, hopefully we'll not die. Otherwise the game's over. We only have one heart. Again, like I said, sometimes you make a small mistake here with optimizing, or there's a lot of RNG, and so you might not make it to that part where you can start actually getting far enough in your build for it to be good. So in the early games, really volatile. At least that's what I found. So yeah, see how there's chasing him around? Our guys are using that to opportunity to shoot them down. So this time we got to see that kind of little cheese strategy shine. This one is actually really nice combo with the healers and mages. But again, this one's not bad. But again, the problem with summons, like free summons, is that if I pick an ability for my tanks or my mages, that benefits all of them. Or a universal ability. This, it's just one single guy. And all your universal things like this and this will apply. But, and I feel like in the long run, like in the short term, this is a really nice benefit. But in the long run, you're kind of losing out on that multi-class benefit. Not bad, but we still don't have the taunt ability, so we will go something a little more immediate. And nice, we actually lucked out. These are two amazing abilities. This one makes our magic 50% more effective, and this one allows our mages to hurl fireballs. Usually this is there after you get this. You'll notice that upgrades come in waves in terms of the types available. So if you remember when you see them, you might not be able to see them again for a long time, except in that first point. So like maybe in the first 3 stages, you'll see certain abilities. Next 3, you'll see different set. Like as the game goes on, they kind of come in waves, or tiers, if you will. So You almost have to be aggressive if you're looking for something specific, because you might not be able to find it if you don't risk it, because you might not see it again for a very long time. So we want Fireball. Because of that. It's a nice, I want to say it has an area of effect as well, and they're very powerful, especially in volleys. It melts front lines. Okay, again, this is nice if you just get one cultist, because you still have these. You can start raising zombies with just one cultist. It's not a bad ability to get. It's 3 units. Although, I'm tempted to still go for that mage one, and we lucked out and got it. This one is a cooldown one. It's still very good, but we want this one. Now, maybe next time we'll get the cultist one when we see it. But that just made our mages much, much more powerful. I think it will also affect this because it's magic damage. We just made our magic damage increase by 50%. So this should be now 75 damage. Could be wrong, but... so OP. Okay, this is a really good one. Like, this is really nice. But we are still gonna go our mage centric because of all these cool abilities that apply to our mages now. There actually is an unlock specific to our mages, which creates chained lightning. And if 50% of this is still 100, so even if it gets halved every time, still quite useful. It's kind of difficult to make these decisions because, well, for it, oops, here we go. I could go V-Chain Lightning upgrade, but that means I won't be able to get more from here. Yeah, it's kind of a toss-up. Maybe what we'll do is we'll do that. I kind of want to get that cultist. It's cheap cultist, and it'll raise units for me in the future. So I have a decision to make. Oh, wait. But I've already made that decision. I forgot. The Chain Lightning is 20, not 10. Oops. Oops. It's okay. The cultist, though, isn't bad. And we can use this unit to raise up others in the future. So we might actually go the cultist for now. And we'll use that last one to create one of these guys to mess them up. There we go. Hopefully it'll work. It looks cool on paper, but, you know, all it takes is just a guy that's slightly better prepared. Every time you re-roll, you have to remember that's also resources you're wasting. It's technically slightly less optimal. So even though it feels good right now, it just takes one guy that may be just a little better composition. So let's see what they have. So they have this. They have multicast. So it seems they focused more on their archers for abilities. So here we can see all of it. This one gives them a speed boost. This one slows down people attacking them, evade, and foreign armor. So anytime we're attacking them, we're damaging ourselves. So not bad. But hopefully our healers will be able to kind of negate that foreign damage. And anytime they're healing us, that's 50 damage. For free. So if you saw, we only lost a few people. So we're starting to get to build up that momentum. This one is actually really good, because it pairs nicely with this. It makes multicast more likely to trigger, which means we get basically free magical attacks. or heals, or anything. So we will go with weighted dice. And you don't see it here, but you can see it in the kind of the non-class specific upgrade pile, if you will. Now, next one we're going to go with, since we have one cultist, is that zombie ability. Because then we can start, all we need is just a couple cultists, and we can have a dedicated zombie force, if you will. Having a few of those do that can turn the tide of a battle. And for units. Like, the cultist class, if used right, is very powerful. Like, there's a lot of cool things that you can get for them. Ooh. This is really, really good with our mage class. And it is hard to justify getting this when we can get splash damage. Because now our fireballs and everything else, if they didn't before, do splash damage. So that just, even our regular attacks, that's huge. And here we can see all the different, all of this starts to synergize and stack, and it forms amazing combos. Here we go. We will spend a little bit and upgrade. We should have gotten should have gotten our chain lightning, but oh well. Ooh, this one's actually not bad to get. Now, unfortunately, we might not have enough for it and this guy, but we can... Oh, crap. It's okay. We'll just do this. It'll be a little cheesy. Maybe I should have gotten one cultist. It's okay. So now, what these guys will do is they'll run and distract everyone in front, making them focus on them, drawing their fire, while these guys can pick them off. That could have been a mistake, depending on their composition, but we'll find out. We'll kind of move them around so we get a little bit... So if they do have mages, they won't get wiped out in the first wave. Although I don't think so. This is, you know, you can kind of tell how their setup is by their formation. So you see those fireballs just melt them. These guys taking all the damage, so our guys back here who are really squishy don't. And it worked. Now, even though this works, we kind of want to move our squishy guys back, because they will not last long even with healers. We might need one more healer. This allows our healer... This is a more useful thing for PvE, because if one of our guys dies, it allows them a chance to revive. But again, we're kind of trying to solve that problem by having healers already built in, so we don't need it. It's still useful. That's a very nice ability, but we only have one cultist right now, so not the best use of our ability. This actually might not be bad. With so many mages. Ooh. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, it was worth it. All our magic skills, including that 50% chance, not 50% chance, that damage that we get for casting, now they all have vampirism. So any magic damage, 30% back is health. Amazing. And we're beginning to see that nice synergy here. This is kind of useless for this guy because the only thing he can do... Well, actually, it still works for him because he's able to throw out ranged damage because of this. This is an ability. It's an active ability. So anytime he activates this, even as this little guy, he's throwing out 50 damage. And he's getting health back because he dealt damage. So we're kind of seeing how this synergy really works. Okay, these are both really good for the mage class. 30%. Oh, 30 to armor. We'll focus a little more on survivability. This is very good, but it should still be there the next turn. This one, 30 plus 30 to armor is amazing. To put it in perspective, These guys are tanks. They start, this lowest class tank starts off with like 15 armor. These guys have 37. But now we have like 44 or 42, or our lowest guy, 39 armor. That is a huge buff. It kind of gives them tank-like properties, and now they are much, much harder to damage. So our survivability went up a lot just with that one upgrade. The thicker our mages get, the more valuable that chain lightning becomes. It's just a hard... It might be more useful now to get the chain lightning because it, you know, cumulatively, that's a lot of mages that are... Let's see, how many mages do we have? We have 4 types, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 mages. If we... I might have missed one. And if we have chain lightning, that's 7 attacks plus 50% damage onto the next first thing in the chain. So that's kind of a multiplicative effect. It might have more damage output than just getting 1 or 2 good guys in. So at this point, it makes sense to get. Unfortunately, we did lose a little bit of buying power. We don't need these guys. We already have enough. So let's re-roll. And we lucked out. Able to get one of these. And... let's get some more of these. I kind of like spreading them out. So, again, if there is a mage wave, they don't get wiped out in that. There we go. This can backfire though. If you have people following these guys to the back of your line, which is vulnerable, it can really hurt. See, they're chasing him around instead of focusing on us. So that was a little scary. We saw those zombies start to appear. We probably should buy that ability as soon as we see it. If we have 1 or 2 guys raising zombies, it helps cancel it out. And if they don't have it, that's 3 kind of mini tanks on our side. Like, zombies at a certain point in the game are actually pretty strong. That's a good ability, but we want something more specific. That's also very good, but again, we're trying to find this. So now, we'll add a couple cultists to the mix, and we can start raising zombies. And because the cultists have all of these magic buffs, they have a similar build to the mage. They are throwing out free damage anytime they raise a zombie. Their abilities are a lot more powerful, and they're also healing anytime they use magic. So having a couple dedicated necromancers, so to speak, is amazing. And it's not a waste because we're still gaining from that synergy that the mages benefit from. We're going to go cooldown reduction. That theoretically that'll allow more casting and a prolonged fight. That's more of a useful ability when you're kind of against someone that's equally matched. These fights are very short usually. It's not too often that you'll see a prolonged one. It's better to get that burst damage focus instead of something like a cooldown reduction, but here we are. We're trying to future-proof it. Interesting enough, this guy's level 2 now. Okay, these are actually very good, but again, we want to use that synergy we've created for magic. This is amazing. This is one of the best... It is the best mage class you can get. And I don't know, the Sailor Moon thing kind of cracks me up, I'm not going to lie. Okay, we do need here. We should have enough for perfect. And these two will be distraction. And now, because we have all the different types of mages, so there's still a benefit to getting these low-level, at least one low-level class, if you will, for that. One low-level unit for that class is that now we can benefit from the full effect of having, instead of throwing out 300 or 660, now we throw out 1,050 units of magic damage for free, because we have all these different unit types for that class. So it's always useful to even have the lowest unit type, because it'll still be useful later on because of that buff. Okay, and now we find out, did we make the right choices? Or was our build a smidge off? Again, because I chose that one Necromancer ability, that could pay off, or it could backfire horribly if he dies in the very beginning. So we'll put him a little farther back. Maybe they're about there. We want him to be able to kill. Or to raise zombies. So we want him alive. And he was getting ready to, but he died really fast, so maybe we'll need one more. But, like I said, burst damage. That was over very fast. And because we focus so much on that synergy for mages, it's really paying off now. And there's still more to come for the mages. It's not over. Like, there's a ton of abilities in this game. This one will help us against certain... I don't know. This is a very useful thing to have for the mages. So even though I don't see what's ahead, we're still getting it. It's getting to the point now where you actually have to click to see all the different things. And because we have healers, they're at full health and all that magic damage. Ooh, if we had more summons, that would be useful. Although, these guys do summon zombies. So, that's not a bad upgrade for them. This is a pure health bonus. Since we have so many guys right now, it might be worthwhile to start buffing our health. We'll lose out on getting new guys, but our health will be doubled, which means it'll take us it'll take them a lot longer to kill us. I feel like right now in the pacing of this game, this is the right time to do it. Like sometimes you see those things early on, you're like, yeah, but you'll sacrifice your... You know, there's a nice balance between getting new units and upgrading them, and you kind of have to gauge where the right time to pick those upgrades are. Like, it might be the right upgrade, but it could be the wrong time. I'm really tempted to do that, but we don't have enough right now to justify it. Like, this is a good long-term one, if we have more of these guys to raise zombies. But right now, we wouldn't be getting a lot out of it. And if we're not getting a lot out of it, that means an enemy that chooses something that benefits more of his troops will have a lot more of an advantage in a fight. And so we could pick something that benefits us in the long run, but because it doesn't benefit us now, we could lose. So we're going to try to, this is a nice one, but we're going to try to find something, again, more class specific. This is good for us. Now let's see how much mana our healers have. This means that if they die, they can come back in the fight. This is a very powerful ability. But again, we want something that benefits more of our guys, so let's see what we can find. Cultist, 30 to health. We'll do this because it's a universal benefit. And when we go to here, we should have enough to buy that 50% upgrade. So not only are we getting 10%, but we're getting 50% on top of it. So it's 60% upgrade to our health. Maybe a little higher because I don't know how those things stack. Okay. Ooh. I want to get these. But we're gonna have to restrain ourselves. Again, we could have a couple units, but having 50% health is to all our units is a much better exchange. Unfortunately, it means we can't get more than just 2 of these guys. But hey, now we have some distractions. Let's move this guy a little farther back. And hopefully our decisions paid off, and we'll find out. Fight. I think we'll win just because we have more meat barriers. Oh, and nice, we have some zombies. See, that one zombie soaked up so much damage. Oh my gosh, that was so close. So here's the perfect example. Because we picked something that was more universally applicable, and it applied to everyone, it allowed us to eke through there with a win. I'm kind of curious to see what the heck they had, because their guys were soaking up so much damage. But nope, we made the right decision. So that one little choice, by picking something that applied to more guys, allowed us to have that win right there. This is actually pretty good to get. That is good, but again, not quite right for the timing. This would be good for our cultists. Well, this one's kind of fun. It literally makes a giant newbie. They all morph into this one thing. It kind of cracks me up. Because it's a newbie, it should theoretically still have this panic ability. I'm reticent to use it though, because it could backfire. Like if it receives a certain amount of damage, you know, it means like a newbie might be killed when it unmorphs. I'm not sure. It's actually a good little thing, because we could have a bunch more of these guys with a lot more health, and then it kind of breaks this roaming tank. But we'll go something that applies to the whole army, which is magic defense. Because now we'll be more resistant against those fireball volleys that we saw earlier, which we ourselves are coincidentally using. Ooh, and now's where it starts to get a little harder. Let me move these guys back. It's good that we have healers in here, because they will help to offset some of that damage. Now this one is really good. We're mostly relying on our mages, so this gives them the chance to come back. We might want to look into upgrading our mana, because I didn't see how much that would cost. If they have 120 mana, maybe not the best upgrade in retrospect, so we will need to upgrade this. Let's see how much mana she has, if there's any difference. Nope. Fortunately, this thing allows us to cast for free, but we might want to consider upgrading our mana a couple times, because it'll allow us to make use of that ability / skill that we got. We might also want to do this, because it will help our healers quite a bit. They'll actually be healing for more, but that's a trade-off for damage, so I think right now we want the damage instead. This is actually a really good one, but try to go the more tanky approach. I kind of have these guys staggered for a reason. This is they'll absorb most of the hits. These guys can res zombies in their place. we're almost to the point now where these are starting to become more practical, because instead of getting 1 or 2 additional units, we can upgrade all of them for the same price. Hopefully we'll live, though. Like, yeah, this is pretty far in. All it takes, though, is one... Someone could just have a slightly more optimized build for this stage in the game, and it could work. Like, you just don't know. All it takes is one bad round of decisions. And we made the right decisions! Good, but again, we want something that benefits everyone. Like this. %'s nothing to shirk at. Like, now let's take a look at one of our heavy hitter dudes. It's a nice little increase. If we can get more of these units, that'd be amazing. And yeah, just from the chain lightning and the random magic sparks, you know, you can see what that did. This would be useful, but again, applies to too few units to justify it this time. We want something that applies to everyone. If we can. Like this! Oh yeah! Just curious. This is still a very good one, to be honest. But now, let's take a look at our health. Now we're starting to see the big... Ooh. If we do this, we'll get like a 40% increase to our health, as opposed to just 2 new units. Again, though, if someone else had been doing the same, and they keep picking units, you know, by the several rounds, that's 3, 4, 5 units. So, I mean, it's hard to say which one's the better path. All units, though. Again, this could be a mistake, but we probably should go back to focusing on building our army after this. I think we get a nice benefit thrown now. Now, each of these dudes has 2,500 health. So, hard to argue with. Plus all that additional armor for our mage class. Sorry. I mean, at this point, some of those mages are more tanky than our tanks. Which means we, instead of filling up the front with our tanks, we could just fill them up with little mages like this. Which makes that reroll ability really nice to have. Here we see, you know, these are a little too high cost for us, and we already maxed out, so it's hard to say whether it would be better to buy a bunch of these guys to just distract them. Let's do that. Again, that means that's a wasted attack that could be going against our guys that they're focusing on here. And they're drawing them away from our important units, giving everything higher survivability. And we can always get different items to upgrade them later, so it's not a loss at all. Especially a focused, ranged army like this gives us a little bit of time to chew through them. Unfortunately, those summons are really hurting us right now. Ooh, and here we're at the end of our run. So, it might have been better to just get those additional units. You know, this is kind of one of those weird things. It's always an exchange against the right army that would have been the right decision, but you never know what you're going to get. Anyway, that is Despot's game, specifically the Christmas Brawl version of the game, or play mode in the game. I hope you enjoyed. This is Blue Serpent. Thank you for tuning in.